Cypress Financial Group presents the Retirement Roundtable Podcast with John Scallan. Get more at cypressfinancial.net. Now, let's get to the show.
My name is Mark Owens. John Scallan, how is this weekend treating you?
Very, very good, sir. I have a brand new grandson that I just can't wait to throw the football with, to fish with, to tell him how great I was as an athlete, tell him stories of glory. Very, very blessed. I have to pinch myself. Like you, my family is absolutely everything. And of course, I'm getting older, but I'll take that. More grandkids as a trade-off for getting older.
So what number grandkid is this for you?
Number three.
Number three. We have this discussion every week here on the Retirement Roundtable that in retirement, one of the biggest joys is exactly that. Spending as much time and, let's be honest, money as humanly possible on the grandkids.
You know what's interesting? I mean, as a younger advisor, building a career, building a business, I was motivated by, many different things. I mean, I had the entrepreneurial spirit still, and as I did back then, just love the joy of building portfolios, developing strategies, working with people, my clients who have become part of my family.
Yeah.
I've got some clients that have been with me for over 40 years. But again, at the center of it all then and the center of it all now, it's still about family.
Yep.
Helping my kids, still feeling like I have something to teach them. And most of the time, and I will underscore most, they usually honor me and respect me and allow them to teach them. Now, there are certain points where I'll get the roll of the eyes and I know I better chill out a little bit. But yeah, it's still about family, Mark, and I imagine it always will be.
Yeah, but John, you can get your revenge now because when the kids roll their eyes, you know what you can do? You can give that grandchild back with a full diaper. So who wins in the long run on that?
Fair trade.
Congratulations to you and the family. The empire, the Scallan empire continues to grow. Couldn't be more happy for you. You can meet the entire team at cypressfinancial.net. And John, let's get to it because we all know former TV doctor, Dr. Oz. Now, he's not an economist, but he does head up the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. And a few weeks ago, he made some comments that turned some heads. He was talking about what would happen to Social Security and Medicare if Americans simply worked one more year before retiring.
If we could get the average American, because they feel healthy, they're vital, they're strong, they have agency over their future, to start working a year earlier, right out of high school, or work a year later, not retire, it would generate about $3 trillion. $3 trillion to the U.S. economy. That would more than remove the debt. It would provide us unbelievable strength because the taxes on that $3 trillion would allow us to keep Medicare Part A solvent, to make a trust fund. It would allow us to make Social Security healthier, tremendous downstream benefits. But to do that, you actually have to invest in making sure people want to work the extra year.
When somebody comes in and tells you they're planning to retire this year, do you ever run the numbers and what could happen if they wait just one more year?
Mark, I mean, I think about this all the time, but again, if someone comes in and they have done a superb job of accumulating money, they have their debt managed, they come in organized, focused, they've done the right job, they have planned well, that's really, I don't really think it's my place to get in and suggest that they, work a little bit longer. So hypothetically, let's say we had a 57-year-old still working, and hypothetically, she was really concerned about retirement and worried about never being able to stop working. She figured she would have to work until 70, and the big obstacle was at 26 years remaining on a mortgage. We started talking about, what happens if I did work to 70, but I pulled Social Security at age 67. We kind of reverse engineered the numbers. We then applied those 3 to 4 years of Social Security benefits. And in her case, it was about $3,500 a month, $42,000 a year. We threw that at the mortgage for 3.5 years. And guess what? She retired at 70 with only a $25,000 mortgage. So again, we run the numbers. We look at the pros and cons. We talk about what we can do in the next decade. So again, a lot of this depends on the plan. It depends on the objectives. It depends whether they love their job. And in this case, it might have made sense to have that conversation about working longer, but certainly not for everyone, Mark.
And of course, John, we're speaking in hypotheticals about this young lady, trying to debate whether she wants to keep working, whether it's time to retire, how it's going to affect your overall Social Security. But there's a lot of layers to these conversations.
Mark, it's not just Social Security. At the same time, that one extra year, her 401k portfolio, it keeps growing. She's not drawing from it. She is adding to it. I mean, here's a stat. If you've got $650,000 invested and the market has a decent year, you might start retirement with a $700,000 401k balance instead of $650,000. I mean, Mark, that's real money. But here's the piece that really lands. It's not just about more money coming in. It's one fewer year the money has to last. Hypothetically, if she retires at 64 instead of 65 and lives to 88 years old, that's 24 years her portfolio has to cover. Retire at 65, it's only 23 years. I mean, at first blush, this doesn't sound like much, but on a portfolio of $650,000, 1 year's worth of withdrawals can have a real impact on the long-term picture.
So just one more year of work, staying in the rat race for one more year could hit you three ways at once.
Three ways, Mark, and that's what people don't see until we put it on paper. That's why having a written plan is so important. Social Security is higher, portfolio is bigger, and the runway for your money to last is shorter. All three of these important factors moving in your favor at the same time. Now, Mark, let me be totally transparent because I'm not standing here saying everyone should delay. That's not the point. In this scenario, this young lady sees the numbers, $400 a month for the rest of her life, additional to what she's currently at, works till 65, right call for her. But I've had other people look at the same kind of analytics and say, John, my dad, he had a heart attack at 67. And quite frankly, my health isn't great. I'm not waiting. Mark, this is a completely valid answer. The point is simply this. Know what you're trading before you decide. Don't just pick a date because it's a round number.
And is it fair to say that some people simply can't keep going even if they want to?
My friend, that is truly real. About half of retirees leave the workforce earlier than they planned. Mark, not because they chose to, right? Health issues, layoffs, a spouse potentially who needs care. Unfortunately, as I can personally attest to, our bodies tend to wear out in ways we don't always anticipate. So if you're in good health and you can work another year, the analysis is worth having because the upside is significant and you might not always have that option.
So, John, I know there's somebody listening right now, maybe in their early to mid 60s. They're looking down that retirement date. They're thinking about, should I keep working? Maybe I should pull the trigger a little bit early on retirement. Maybe I should have that date that I've always had in mind. To that adult right now, John, what would you say?
Any of our listeners right now, maybe you're 62 or 63, you're staring down that retirement date, call us, pick up the phone. 504-732-1001. Let's get a written plan in force. Let's model this thing out. What does your income picture look like this year versus next year? What does Social Security look like at different claiming ages? What does delaying 1 year truly mean for your financial life over the next 20 to 25 years? Remember this. All of our initial meetings are complimentary. There is no fee. There is no obligation. If you're not quite ready to meet us, you can call us about running a retirement ready report. We'll have you answer a few quick questions. Within 24 to 48 hours, you will get a personalized snapshot of where you stand. No cost, no obligation, just clarity.
All right, John Scallan. You're being interrogated, light in your face. Do you, John Scallan, do you believe in aliens?
Is this my left-handed knuckleball question? You know, Mark, I am a Christian.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say but, I want to say and.
Yeah.
And I'm a man who believes in science.
Yeah.
And this is a big, almost unfathomably large universe. We are, with this new telescope that is out in space, we are starting to see, God, it's bigger than we thought.
Amen.
You know, the educated part of my mind said it just would be very difficult not to have some kind of intelligent life across these millions, maybe even trillions of additional galaxies that are out there. So again, this is stuff that I go back and forth on. I was in a men's Bible study, and two of the newer members, you know, started to have this passionate discussion about whether, you know, they were creationists or evolutionists, right? So again, this is really a big topic, but I guess if you put me in a corner, I believe that there's intelligent life somewhere else.
There's got to be. It's too big of a universe. Now, I don't know if I believe in like the little green men with the beady eyes that want to probe us, but I truly believe there's got to be something else out there. It could be just a bug, but there's definitely more life form out there that we don't know about. But you would think if anybody would know about aliens and extraterrestrials, it would be the leader of the free world. I want you to hear this clip from former President Barack Obama, who sat down on a podcast and they asked him that question. Do you believe in aliens?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in
Area 51.
Area 51. There's no underground facility unless there's this enormous conspiracy, and they hid it from the President of the United States.
What was the first question you wanted answered when you became president?
Where are the aliens?
Look, that isn't a left or right, red or blue issue. That is an issue of the most powerful position in the world. He couldn't get a straight answer about whether aliens exist. Amazing.
Well, look, but before I get into the alien piece of it,
right?
Is he the leader of the free world?
He
I
was
just wanted to ask
at one point. At one point.
I'm sorry, Mark. I couldn't let you off of that.
I'm sorry. At one point, I got to admit, whoever is in office in the White House, I do give them credit for having the most powerful position in the entire world.
Very true. I agree with you, Mark. Mark, I love this conversation because here's what makes, you know, these myths dangerous. It's not that it's obviously wrong. You know, if it were obviously wrong, nobody would believe it. A myth feels true. It sounds reasonable, and people make enormous decisions based on those feelings.
Okay, so let's flip that to what you do for the families you serve in retirement and financial planning. Tell me some of the biggest myths that you hear.
Well, now you're in my wheelhouse,
Welcome
my
back.
friend. The one I hear most often, and it probably affects more people listening right now than any other, it's simply this: Social Security is going to cover all of my expenses. And listen, I understand why some people believe that. They've paid into this thing for their entire working life. They've seen statements showing what their benefits will be. It feels like it should be the backbone of retirement. But my friend, here's the reality. The average Social Security benefit right now is just over $3,000 per month. For a married couple where both spouses work, decent careers, maybe you're looking at $5,500, $6,000 combined on a good day. The Bureau of Labor Statistics tell us that the average married household between 65 and 74 years old spends $5,400 per month. So on paper, it looks like it might cover the basics. But Mark, that's average spending. No travel, no helping the grandkids, no real cushion. And that's before healthcare costs even enter the picture. Listen, Medicare, as great as it is at 65, it's not free. There are premiums, gaps, prescription costs. The average retired couple spends over $300,000 on health care over the course of their retirement. That's $5,500 a month. Looks very different when you start layering in what the real costs are.
It's a great way to put it, John Scallan. You're saying that Social Security, it covers survival, not retirement.
That is exactly right. And the people who discover that gap at 68 or 70, when they've already stopped working and can't easily go back, that's when this becomes a real crisis, Mark.
All right, we're talking about some of the myths, some of the misconceptions in retirement planning. What's another one?
Well, this one I hear, constantly, and basically it's, I'll just work longer if I need to. It's the backup plan for millions of Americans, and I get it. It's a comforting thought. You feel good, you're healthy, you like your job. The problem is it's a plan that can be taken from you without any warning. Hypothetically, let's think about a gentleman from Metairie, 66 years old, still working, still sharp, planning to retire at age 70. Work 4 more years, bulk up the savings, maximize Social Security. This makes complete sense on paper, but at 67 and a half, he gets a diagnosis. Now, in this situation, not immediately life-threatening, but serious enough that between the fatigue, the treatment schedule, he can no longer perform at the level his job requires. His employer, professionally, even kindly, starts conversations about transitioning him out. He retires at 68 and not 70 years old. Now, Mark, in this scenario, he's okay because he saved well enough. But think about what happens if he'd been counting on those last 2 years, if the whole plan depended upon him reaching 70. That's when, quote, I'll just work longer, stops being a plan and becomes a problem that no one can actually fix.
And a scenario like that, John, is that more common than we realize?
Mark, listen, it would not be a stretch to say about half of the retirees leave the workforce earlier than planned. Half. It's not a rare exception. It's a coin flip. So if your financial plan hinges entirely on working until 70 or 72 years old, you're betting on a coin flip. And that, my friend, is not a plan. That is simply hope.
Hope is not a plan, John Scallan. Let me give that number, 504-732-1001. Talking about some of the myth, some of the misconceptions in retirement planning. Again, 504-732-1001 to start working towards your financial future with the help of John Scallan and the team at Cypress Financial. All right, we got time for one more myth.
I'll spend less in retirement. Oh, Mark, don't I wish? Listen, people say this and they genuinely believe it. The mortgage will be paid off. The kids will be out of the house. I won't have work expenses. It should cost less. And here's the grain of truth. Eventually, yes, in your late 70s, early 80s, you're in that, end stage of retirement. You're a little less active. Spending comes down some. But the first 5, 8, 10 years of retirement, Mark, man, most people spend at least as much as when they were working, often more. Because now you have time. You can finally go to Italy. You're helping the grandkids. You're doing the things you spent 35 years telling yourself that I'll do this someday. Guess what? Someday arrived. Yep. There's actually a concept researchers use called the retirement spending smile. Your spending is high in the early active years. You're traveling, you're doing things. You finally have the time. Then it levels off a bit in the middle years as you settle in, maybe not as apt to jump on a plane and fly across the pond. And then it climbs back up again at the end when healthcare costs start to dominate. Your spending graph literally chases the shape of a smile over 25 or 30 years, planning for less across the board. For all of it, it just doesn't match how retirement actually unfolds.
So, John, I want to talk to that adult out there that's listening and maybe realize they've been operating on one of these myths that we just covered. What's the first step? What should they do?
Mark, always for our listeners, pick up the phone, 504-732-1001. Let's replace the myth with mathematics. What does Social Security actually provide in your situation? What is your real projected spending? Not a wish, not a hunch, but a realistic number. What about a backup plan if you cannot work as long as you planned? And do you have a written strategy, not just an account balance? Initial meetings are complimentary. No fee, no obligation. The myths feel comfortable today. Do not get seduced by that. Let's get together. Let's get a written plan. Let's get everything put down. It's something you can follow. Let's get ahead of these numbers right now.
Investment advisory services offered through Cypress Financial Group, a registered investment advisor firm. Registration is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities offered through Cypress Financial Group, John Scallan, Louisiana Insurance License Number 1064997. The firms are separate entities. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company and are not offered by Cypress Financial Group. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties.